Konami have re-released the Showtime Ronaldo, Koulibaly and Kante, and it can be a really good pack. If we start off taking a look at Ronaldo, nothing too different about the card here. He's always got the very high weak foot, but the important thing here is the phenomenal finishing, which kind of makes him, especially with that very high weak foot, very effective. So I have a few builds in mind for Ronaldo. This is the first one. If we take the boosts off, you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to get the offensive awareness to 90 and the acceleration above 85. Unfortunately, there's no other finishings above 85, but there's no other real stat you can get above 85 with this well-rounded build. It's just the way the card is. But you can see we get at least we get the kicking power and the finishing and the offensive awareness really high. Here's the first build I recommend for Ronaldo. You can see if I take the boost off, what I'm doing, we're trying to get offensive awareness, finishing, kicking power, and acceleration above 85. Can't get many stats above 85 with this Ronaldo card, unfortunately. So you're gonna have to pick and choose your battles. Like I was trying to get the speed and jumping, either one of them to 85, but I feel like you have to take too many points off from too many different areas. But if we look at the card with the boosts, yeah, it looks pretty good. You get 97 kicking power, that'll be amazing. With 95 finishing and 83 curl, like this guy, you know, he's already been released before, so we have seen what he looks like. He's a very good finisher. He definitely looks very good. Yeah, the speed is a bit low, unfortunately. There is another build in a sec I can show you that might fix that. And then the jumping, like one of Ronaldo's biggest strengths when I go talk about if I recommend the card is his jumping. I do think though he'll be fine with the lower jump, but we can also show you a build with more aerial superiority. So if you wanted a build to be more of an aerial threat, this is what I'd go for. It doesn't start with aerial superiority as a skill, but that's what I'd recommend putting on him regardless of the builds. We'll get to that in a moment. But this build here, yeah, you get more jumping, more physical. The only problem is it's just, I don't know, it's not a majorly different build, but you are losing the 90 attack and awareness, which I feel like Ronaldo's ability to get on the end of through balls is very effective, and I feel like the 90 might be kind of a big part of that. If you go below 90, you might have problems. I have a different Ronaldo card that I used to like a lot, and you can see his attack and awareness is very, very high compared to the builds I'm having there, but that's not really the problem with my builds. It's more the fact that I can't really get the card as high in offensive awareness. Like if we look at how many points we're investing to get it to 90, we've already invested 10 points to get it to, oh, that's not 89 offensive awareness. I think on the last build we had it on 12, or maybe it would have been 11 actually, wouldn't it? Yeah, so it's just like, it's very expensive, so that like is one issue with this card, so it might be a factor of maybe not spinning. In terms of other builds, this build here, if you want more speed, it also gets you the 100 kicking power, which would be very effective. If you want, though, because of the 100 kicking power, you could probably take off a little bit of finishing and get it into, I would go like this, and then where is it, dexterity, and try get that offensive awareness. Yeah, because if you take off the finishing, it's literally only 1 point. I do think 95 though feels better than 94. I usually don't notice like one stat upgrades, but at like 95, I don't know, I trust it. But the kicking power will compensate for that, especially when it's over 100. I do think, well, I, for the most part, don't notice +1 on an attribute. I do notice it on 100 as well. In terms of kicking power, I've tried it on a few different cards. So yeah, this is the build I go for, and then with that last point, you can go into aerial, or you can go anywhere, dribbling, passing. It's up to you for that last point. If you want to go for more dribbling builds, this is what I'd go for, but I really wouldn't recommend it. Like obviously, you want to recreate Prime Ronaldo, you know, the first few seasons at Madrid, but you just can't do it with the card. So that's why I'm not spinning for these cards. This is why I didn't spin it for the last time, despite Ronaldo being one of my favorite players. But yeah, you can't really get the dribbling build. Although if you really do want to go for it, this is what I'd go for. The biggest problem with the card is the speed isn't high enough and the type possession. If this had let's say +6 on type possession and +5 on speed, then while it wouldn't be like a prime Ronaldo, but you'd be able to see the similarities. So yeah, like it's just missing too many. It's just missing the kind of agileness and the speed, and the balance, and then just the type possession. But in terms of the skills recommendation, this is what I recommend. So the first skill I recommend is aerial superiority, and putting this skill on is important for another skill I recommend for the last skill. So I'll explain that in a few moments. The aerial superiority, yeah, Ronaldo if you give him aerial superiority, even if he doesn't have amazing jumping stats, he just wins every high ball you hit up into the air. He's very dominant. He's a great target man, but also he's one of them strikers that's actually good for scoring headers. Like a lot of the times, the strikers that I'm worried about the aerial ability, I'm not worried about them scoring the headers. It's just for the long ball. But with Ronaldo, he's actually good enough to score the headers too. Next skill I'd recommend is double touch, and it's pretty self-explanatory. These kind of recommendations for the skills are based off using this Ronaldo, and I had that kind of Manchester United Ronaldo, and then I had the daily penalty game Ronaldo. So I've used Ronaldo a lot of times in this game, so that's what these skill recommendations are based off. So I'd go double touch. After that, I'd go scissors feint. It's not really a skill I hear people talk about often. I think they're very underrated, but regardless or not if they're underrated, Ronaldo has his kind of own animations for scissors feints, and they're really easy to hit with Ronaldo. They seem to work a lot better with him. So yeah, definitely put scissors feint on Ronaldo. Now for the second last skill, you can put cut behind and turn or true passing. I'm not actually sure which I'd prefer, just because both of them kind of do make sense. It's just the other skills kind of have to go on it too. If you put cut behind and turn, like the very high weak foot is very effective. You can cut behind each side. It'll be very, very effective. The true passing, it actually starts with decent low pass, and actually also the very high weak foot helps with that pass and the good kicking power. So yeah, I can see both skills definitely be very effective. It's already got one touch pass and heel trick, so if you mix those in, like it'll be very good. So with those two, I don't know which one to go for. Maybe if you want to go back and take off a skill, take off double touch. Personally, I'm not too reliant on double touch. A lot of people are though, so like I feel like they kind of refuse to take it off. But I can get away with it. Maybe you guys might want to take off scissors feint instead. I do think though Ronaldo's, if you haven't used a Ronaldo card before and you're not a fan of scissors feint in general, if you have a different Ronaldo version, try to hit some scissors feints with them and you'll notice like it's a little bit different. The last skill I want to recommend is either Fighting Spirit or Super Sub. Now this kind of depends on if you have a Hullet or not. If you have Hullet, I'd recommend starting Hullet and putting Super Sub on Ronaldo. And if you don't have a Hullet, I'd recommend putting Fighting Spirit on Ronaldo and starting him. And get the benefits of the stamina being less of a detriment on Ronaldo. Now Super Sub isn't just, or sorry, rather Fighting Spirit isn't just for the benefits of fatigue. If you read the description there, it also says performs better under pressure as well as adversity. So I feel like I've had this kind of belief for a while. Shosuf, a player I respect a lot, he kind of explained this to me. Players perform better under pressure. Basically, if a defender's near you, your player gets kind of, I guess, nervous, or they just feel under pressure and they kind of perform worse. Fighting Spirit reduces that. Gianni also explained that to me because I remember I had a Messi. It's actually the same Messi card as him, but when we used it in co-op, he was always shocked at how good mine was, and then he noticed with the controller vibration, when my Messi had the ball, there was less vibration than when he had the ball if he was under pressure. And that's because my Messi had Fighting Spirit, so that's what that's for. And then adversity is kind of for, I guess, scripting / momentum. If you miss a chance, you feel like your players kind of keep missing. Yeah, that's what Fighting Spirit will help with. So definitely a very good skill. And then Super Sub obviously is just give a boost to the stats of a card if you sub them on after halftime. I'm not sure if you sub them on at halftime if the boost applies. I believe there was a PES game before where that wasn't the case. You had to sub them off after the 75th minute. I do feel like it's just any time in the second half now. So just keep that in mind when you're doing Super Sub. Okay, next card is N'Golo Kante, and I actually have a GP version of Kante, the first one, and he's amazing. My one's a whole player though, so it's a bit different. If we look at the build for Kante, this is the first one I recommend. There's not too much to say about this Kante. Like, it's just a well-rounded card. Obviously the finishing's low, but he's good dribbling. One thing I will say about Kante's dribbling is 80 ball control and 80 tight possession don't sound good, but trust me, Kante plays like he has 90 tight possession and ball control. He's very, very nimble, very responsive. He's just very good in the midfield. He's a bit like Iniesta. He's a bit like Iniesta if you give him crazy defending stats. This is the first build I'd recommend. If you want though, you can kind of swap it so you have less of the speed and more into the dexterity. Actually, can you get both of them up? No, you can't. With this build anyway. You could probably take off the passing and go like that. And then we'll take off one defending. Yeah, so if you want actually faster, you can go like this. Which build do I prefer? Because I as much as like I've said, like his low dribbling feels good, I think you do need at 80, and I think it's too important to leave out. So yeah, this build is actually pretty good as well. Go like that, and then you can go one into passing or one into shooting. Would you go into aerial? Probably not. But yeah, this Kante is very good. If I compare him to my day 1 GP Kante, they're essentially the same card. Actually, this one's arguably better. So that's why I think it's not worth the upgrade for me. So if you have this day 1 GP Kante, I wouldn't upgrade. Then mine's a whole player. It should be a box to box, but they used to have foil cards basically. If you spun a card, a GP version, there was a chance you'd get a different playstyle. And I got a whole player, and the whole player actually did work pretty well. So yeah, look, 800 games with Kante, like amazing. He was like kind of, you know, such a vital part of the team at the start of the game. So for the skills I'd recommend for Kante, first one is trackback. It's a bit surprising he doesn't have it. You're thinking, oh, like Kante would be the first name of the list when you think of trackback. So yeah, definitely put trackback on him. I have it on my Gilberto and my Mateus, and particularly Mateus. I noticed once I put it on Mateus box to box, he became a lot more effective. So definitely put trackback on him. I think it's gonna be like a game changer for this N'Golo Kante card. Skills after that, I would go for probably low lofted pass, just because he has the weighted pass. It's a good combo. I do like it on players that are further back, deeper on the pitch. So if you're playing on DMF, it becomes more of a kind of reason to put him on it. If you're playing him centre mid, a little bit less, but I actually have low lofted and weighted pass on my Mateus. Or I had it on him, sorry, and I did notice it. So next skill I would put on is blocker, just make him more defensively sound, especially if you're playing on DMF, in position to block shots more often. Then I would go for cut behind and turn, just make him a bit more comfortable on the ball in the midfield. You can also go for gamesmanship as well as that, just because if you're holding onto the ball with him and you make a mistake, you just hope that, you know, there's a bit of physical in the tackle and the ref calls a foul. I do think gamesmanship has been nerfed a few months ago, but that's mostly for attacking players. The defenders and midfielders seem to still win the fouls often. Now, if you're not liking the sound of gamesmanship or maybe low lofted pass, you can go Marseille turn. I wouldn't put it on just for me because I don't do the Marseille turn very often, but it is one of the best skills in the game. I don't do it because I use manual feints. It's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, definitely Marseille turn would be very good on Kante. And then for the last skill, I mean, we already named 5, but just because maybe you guys are picking different skills on each other, I think aerial might be okay on Kante. I think you can make it work just because he's I don't know, I do feel like the skills are often more important than the stats. So I think aerial could work as the last skill. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it just because he is very short. But you know, if those other skills didn't really scream out to you as something that sounded good, maybe aerial could work too. And then for the last card, we got Koulibaly. This guy used to be really good back in PES, and I think he is still good now. Like I've played against him, he can be a bit of a headache, but he's not on the level of, you know, the newer guys like Maldini, Nesta, Aldar, like Thuram especially. That guy I hate playing against. But he's a good card. This is the build I went for. Actually, we got 1 extra point. I guess we just put it into passing. There's nothing too remarkable about the build. You know, you get every stat to 90 on defending and just get a lot of pace. Anything else you could do with the build? You could probably like maybe take off, because the defensive engagement isn't too important for a centre back. I've said that before. And then put the rest of the points into like the pace, but you can't get the pace up to 80, so that's why I kind of went for the build I had. You could also, instead of putting them the points to the pace, put it into aerial, but again, the jumping isn't going to go that high. I don't think it's too worth your time, so I think just get everything to 90. And it's not really just to get engagement to 90, it's just to get the other stats up really high. But he is a destroyer, and the things you want on destroyers are them to be quick and to have good tackling and aggression. So defensive awareness, I find, is more for build-ups, just for helping interceptions, whereas destroyers need to come out of the back line and hit the opponent. So if they had good aggression and tackling, a good pace, and this guy's very tall, got long legs, he'll cover a lot of ground very quickly with his tackles. So for the skills I'd recommend on Koulibaly, the first one is acrobatic clearance. Then once you've got that, you've kind of got the defensive stats, or sorry, rather skills sorted. I'd go one touch pass after that just to make him a bit more comfortable in defense, and then weighted pass and low lofted pass. It's really effective combo. Like I keep talking about it. If you haven't heard like mention that, yeah, I don't know. I've always talked about that on centre backs. After that, probably true passing. Now I know there's a lot of passing stats or our skills being added there, and if you look at the build, I only have 64 passing on him. So you know it might not sound great. Trust me, it's not a major issue. Well, actually, I'm not 100% sure if I've used a weighted low lofted pass combo on a player below 70 passing. I've definitely used it on a player with 70 passing. Let me have a look. Okay, I've used it on this Saliba, and he's like very good. I mean, it's not below 70, it's 72, but the passing still hasn't been an issue. It took me a while to find this because I was looking through my players with the skill combo, see who was low passing, and he didn't scream out to me as someone with low passing because I never noticed it. But yes, it doesn't seem to be a major issue, so I'd still go for that on Koulibaly. So overall, as the pack worth spinning, I don't think it's a terrible pack, but I have my reasons not going for it for me, just because I have that Kante. Koulibaly is a destroyer. If he was a build-up, I'd probably go for him, just because he's a destroyer. I've already got Van Bouten, I've already got Vieira. I've already got this like tall destroyer. I don't really need this Koulibaly. And then Ronaldo. I love Ronaldo in real life, like my favorite player maybe. I think. Yeah, probably. Like I always say Iniesta, but if I'm being honest, it's probably Ronaldo. But that's probably the reason I'm not spinning, just because it's not the Ronaldo I want to see. It's the goal poacher Ronaldo, you know, like the just scoring tap-ins. That's not the Ronaldo. I want the prime Ronaldo, taking players on, banging them in for 4 yards. And he will have that long-range shooting ability with the phenomenal finishing and the high kicking power and stuff, but I just don't think it's quick enough Ronaldo, good enough at dribbling Ronaldo for me. So that's why I'm not spinning. Maybe I change my mind, but I don't think I am. But yeah, that'll be the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I started an RTG the other day, by the way, if you haven't watched it yet. So that'll be up on your screen now. Bye.